What is up, everybody? It's your boy Doody back again with another video, and this time we're taking a look at our boy DSP's daily rap video after a day which I have titled the Snortpocalypse. That's right, the Snortpocalypse. Our boy Phil sadly has been hit with the drip. The snorts are back. He's sneezing, allergies, what have you. But of course, it's DSP, and you would think after so many years of having the drip and maybe narrowing it down to maybe, I don't know, sinuses, allergies, you would think he would have gone to the doctor and gotten this issue corrected, at least get on a course of medication that could have addressed this issue before it became a problem. But of course, we're talking about DSP here. That's right, folks. We're talking about DSP. The man who can't help himself. The man who is extremely lazy and won't do anything until it becomes a real problem. And even that, he still doesn't do anything. So, of course, today he had to subjugate everyone to his disgusting snorting and burping and just bodily noises. And even though he has a mute now, he still didn't even implore it. Oh, my lord, man. We got so many off-the-cuff snorts that just made my headphones, my earbuds vibrate from the bass that came out of those snorts. So anyway, let's hear DSP talk about how he didn't have a great day, and you're going to hear a lot of low viewership, low support in this video. So let's get into it.
DSP here. Welcome to the Daily Wrap for what was Tuesday, the 14th of April, 2026. Let's talk all about it, because we had some high highs and low lows, and maybe perhaps we're starting to see some things change. I'm not sure. Let's talk all about it, okay? So, today, we had an interesting mix because, unlike previously, we did not have exactly the same lineup of games today as I had kind of scheduled the last few weeks, because we're no longer playing Street Fighter 6. So normally this would have been Action Day with Crimson Desert on the first stream and Street Fighter 6 on the late stream. However, later this week, we have two new releases. Because of that, some of the games that have been daytime streams in the past, notably Pokemon Fire Red and Crimson Desert, are actually going to be late night streams. So today we mixed it up. Today was Crimson Desert on the first stream, and it was a late night stream of a RimWorld, okay? So let's talk about that. We started off today with the DSP morning show. And that morning...
Well, first of all, Phil, do I really need to highlight the point? What's the difference? You've been playing the same 3 damn games for like a month and a half. RimWorld and either Dragon Quest or Crimson Desert. It's the same thing every day, Phil. And I love how he sits here and says, oh, we're so busy. We have so much to do. We have so many games we're playing. But yet manages to play RimWorld 2 or 3 times a week because it's the only gameplay that's actually bringing him any money. Or Crimson Desert for some odd reason, I don't know why. Even in Crimson Desert, you know that's going to get sent to Banworld pretty soon. And sadly, even RimWorld might be going to Banworld as well. It looks like Phil's just going to start cleaning house because these playthroughs are not reliable anymore. I mean, even RimWorld. I mean, you had at least 2 or 3 dents that came out every night to support it. Whenever he played it, and barely cracked 100 views last night, and didn't hit the goal, as Phil's going to talk about in a moment.
The morning show was entertaining. We actually talked about how Naughty Dog, apparently in a leaked piece of information, has now been discovered that they're making The Last of Us 3 as well as Uncharted 5. And I talked all about that. I talked about Neil Druckmann. We got into discussion about politics in gaming, culture wars in gaming, and it went on for a while. I feel like it was a pretty good discussion.
No, Phil, it's just you just showing how salty and jealous you are. It's the same rant that you regurgitate about Elon Musk, Phil Spencer, Troy Baker, and Neil Druckmann. Anyone that's remotely successful or does better than you or is actually, you know, competent, you're just a jealous asshole. And that's what it was. It just came off. It was like a 15-minute, 20-minute segment of him just being completely jealous, out of touch, just clueless. And, yeah, you know, just, you can tell the guy doesn't know what he's talking about. The pure hatred that he has for this man, it just comes out. And it clouds his judgment with everything he has to say. Whenever there's a news story that involves these people, he has to come out, give you the partial story, and then, of course, go into his histrionics of his interaction with Neil Druckmann. You would think that Neil Druckmann and Phil Spencer and Elon Musk got together and ran a gangbang on Cat. Because that's how annoyed and upset he gets whenever these people are in the news or whenever he gets wind. Oh, and the Cannon Brothers, too. Let's not forget the Cannon Brothers. You know, although those 5 people ran a train on poor Cat. and he just hates them all now. So anytime he can dunk on them, he will. The problem is, though, when he dunks on them, it's just the same argument. The same nonsense. He brings up the past. It's just a jealous douchebag. And he can't help himself. And I think it's great. I love listening to those rants. Because again, you know, you can do a Google search or a YouTube search and put in DSP Neil Druckmann or DSP Cannon Brothers or DSP Elon Musk. And you'll see hundreds of videos, and every single video will be the same jealous, pathetic rant about these individuals. Good God.
Of course, some people just try to run away from any discussion about politics or culture these days. But
the man who canceled his DSP politics show because he couldn't talk about politics, he was addressing a couple cultural issues. No one gave a shit. He tried to ride the fence. He tried to be a fence sitter, which no one likes a fence sitter. Ask Boogie2988. And you had to cancel it because you were too worried to actually take a real position on political discussions. All right, Phil. Sure. Okay.
But I thought it was a good morning show. As a result, we had some good discussion around it, okay? Then we jumped into Crimson Desert. And once again, Crimson Desert being a mishmash of stuff was a weird stream. We started off continuing on with these puzzles of these settlements. I forget what they're called, but there's 4 of them that you need to clear out for the witches, right? Once you complete the witch quest line, and basically you're doing work for them, you have to clear out these 4 areas. They're not temples, they're not shrines, I forget what they're called, okay? So how do you do it? Well, for three of them, you simply kill a certain amount of enemies that are inhabiting them. Then you solve a puzzle with the movement of the items and things a la Tears of the Kingdom, and then you find a chest, you get a reward and stuff like that. But there's one that's different. In one of them, inexplicably, they put a boss. And it's not just a boss. It's apparently one of the most annoying bosses in the game, which I didn't know, of course. I'm just playing the game cold. So I went there to investigate, and I go to fight this boss. Number one, the boss one-shots me. No exaggeration. The boss literally insta-kills me. And people are like, why is the boss one-shotting you? It didn't do that to me. And I'm like, well, I'm 16 hours in. How many hours in were you when you played it? Oh, 50. Oh, maybe that's why. Maybe you had like 10 more health upgrades that I don't have yet, right? I'm just going in natural progression. The story had me do the witch mission. The story has me continuing helping the witches. And this is, yes, it's optional, but it's something that the game just presented to me right now is to do it. So why am I facing a boss that's so over-leveled at this point in the game? It makes no sense. In addition, when you're fighting this boss, the boss is a constant teleporting boss, meaning it'll disappear, reappear, and then quickly attack. Herein lies the problem. The game's camera doesn't follow the boss, ever. Even if you've locked on, the moment that the boss teleports away, the camera loses the boss. So it keeps appearing behind you and one-shotting you, and there's nothing you can do about it. You just die. Now, could I have beaten the boss? Maybe if I spent 3 streams on it like I was playing Elden Ring against Melania, right? Because basically, here's how you fight him. You basically just do your meditation, and then when he's about to attack you, you parry. Now, you can only do that for certain attacks. There's an attack he does where he does this like ground pound, and there's like a shockwave that comes out. That one cannot be parried. But his other attacks and combos can be. The thing is, I'm also not doing much damage to him. I am stunning him, but even when I stunned him, and there's an attack that I learned, when you stun anyone in this game, if you press right trigger and right bumper together, you can do like a visceral attack to punish them because you stunned them. It did 0 damage to him. So apparently they don't want you to do that, all right? I was hurting him, but I'm like, this fight would likely take me hours and hours to win. There's no point. So I raged, and essentially I said, the combat sucks. And why does it suck? Because it's bad. If you play a FromSoft game, like any Dark Souls game, Sekiro, Elden Ring, yes, absolutely, you can get to a boss that's overpowered. But the truth is, even in any game like that, you can stick around, learn the boss's pattern, and you can still win. I mean, I know for a fact, remember the first boss in Elden Ring where I did that? You can't do that in this game. In Crimson Desert, it's all about over-leveling. It's about going out there and leveling up your health, leveling up your stamina, finding equipment, leveling up the equipment at the blacksmith a ton, then going back and just overwhelming the boss. And everyone said in chat, yeah, that's how we beat that boss. Basically, he is one of the biggest pains in the game because he does so much damage so early on in the game. And everyone just goes and overlevels and goes back, and then they're able to beat him because he doesn't insta-kill you with 1 hit. It's not a big deal. So, yeah, I spent about half an hour on the boss. He's absolutely impossible to beat because the combat engine sucks. If the combat engine was better and you could actually do things to make the fight more reasonable, like memorizing his pattern or whatever, but you can't because he just teleports behind you, the camera doesn't follow him, and he just insta-kills you over and over. It's trash. So, the game's combat is still trash. I'm about 16 hours in. It's still terrible. I still hate the combat of this game. However, everything else that we did on stream today was very entertaining. We did a lot of exploration. I'm now fully using the traversal with that hook that you shoot out and you pull yourself to, and I'm climbing giant mountains and I'm gliding all around the environment, and we found a ton of hidden caves with good armor and stuff. We now upgraded our armor, got much better armor on us now with better defense. And we actually did finish up with the rest of the optional bases for the witches. There's that one we can't finish because the boss is too tough. So we had fun. Like, Blake brought 3 hours today. We did have fun with the game, except that one boss fight because they didn't scale it right and the game's combat is terrible. Okay? So, Crimson Desert continues to do well, but not as well as initially. I definitely noticed today a big trailing off of viewership. Like, there weren't nearly as many people today. We barely even had 200 viewers on YouTube for most of the day. People are just not sticking around for the game anymore. Support, well, to be honest. Actually, at first it was slower. At the end of the stream, it did pick up. Obviously, I'm grateful for that. So thank you if you were there and you supported Crimson Desert today. But I am starting to see the cracks of the armor, so to speak. We're not getting as many people for it. People just aren't that excited for it anymore. And the support is actually coming much later on the streams. So I don't know. It very well could be now that we're going to have new releases this week. This could be the beginning of the end for Crimson Desert. I don't know. Keep in mind, we can't play it as a daytime stream later in the week. It has to be a night stream. So yeah, maybe this is the first signs that we've played it a good amount, and that's, you know, if people are going to be bored with it now. I don't know. I'll tell you this, when we play it again later in the week, I will be focusing on the story, okay? The late stream tonight was
All right. Well, he's obviously talking about Antibros sword. I believe that's the way you pronounce it, which is actually a boss check. It's a skill check. It's put in there as a skill check to see how you are, how skillful you are as an actual player. And Phil, you were completely under-leveled. God, he always does this because he's so pig-headed. He thinks that if he goes in and fight under-leveled and he fights a boss that's really hard, and it takes him whatever 2, 3, 4 hours to actually beat it, that he gets some bragging rights that he actually beats it. And of course he can make fun of everyone else who decided to quit it and go back later to actually fight it once they're, you know, once they're skilled up enough, right? And that's what he was trying to do here. And sadly, the game did not allow him to do that because, again, he was completely under-leveled. God, he was so embarrassing. By the way, it was about an hour that he played it. If you want to watch the clip, I clipped it. I showed how many times he died. He actually he did nothing different. Every single run at the boss, he did the same tactics and just died. Died over and over. I think I ended up counting about 34 deaths. He died about 34 times fighting that boss. And you would have thought, okay, after playing it a couple times and seeing that you were under-leveled, you would go and do something else, Phil. No, Phil didn't decide to do that. He wanted to sit there and rage because he wanted an excuse to say how poorly the game is designed and how bad it's designed and the developers are dunces. Just something for him to bitch about when he's just the idiot. Now, when it comes to support this game, maybe that's what it is. Maybe your dents don't want to see you fight an overpowered boss when you're under-leveled for an hour. Maybe that grows a little bit boring. I know your detractors love it because I know I did. I love seeing you struggle and just die and be a shitty gamer and not do anything different. I love it, but I'm pretty sure your dents, the people that come in, they give you money and support you, don't like that content. But of course, you know, Phil decides he wants to show his e-penis and show that he's the one that's going to beat the boss, even though he's under-leveled. And sadly, he did it. That's right. And support, man, if it wasn't for the one dent coming in, he wouldn't have hit the goal. And you can hear Tane now complaining, oh, you know, support was slow all day. One person came in at the very end. That's right. One person came in because, of course, let's not forget, he kept complaining all day about the snortpocalypse and him having a runny nose and sneezing and how terrible he feels. And, of course, you know, that brings out sometimes the sympathy donos, where some of the dents, you know, feel bad for Phil because, of course, he's so successful that the man can't afford to take one day off when he's not feeling well. Like most people, if you're not feeling well, if your allergies are that bad, what you would normally do is you would just take off, go to your doctor, and get a prescription. No, not DSP. He can't do that. Because why? Because he's too successful to take a day off. Okay, Phil. Whatever you want to say, buddy. All right, let's see what he's going to say. He's going to talk about RimWorld, of course.
RimWorld. We are doing the second run now. Well, I say second run, it's technically my fourth run, but it's really the second run where I know what I'm doing. New biome, where it's now getting cold, and tonight we had some disaster. The crops died out because it got too cold outside, and we didn't have a way to keep them warm, okay? And new challenges, new things going on, right? In different order, because, for example, how do we keep the people warm? Well, I don't know. We have to try to find a way to make clothes. Well, guess what? We don't have fabric because we can't grow cotton because it's too cold. So what do? You hunt. Well, hunting only lets you make certain clothes. Uh-oh. Can you do stuff to keep them warm indoors? Yes, actually. You can actually make these campfires indoors, and it allows you to then have temperature management, and then you can make vents to have the heat go through the different rooms. So these are all things I didn't have to do in my last run because it was eternal summer, right? We could always grow crops. We could always have heat. This is the opposite. So all new challenges. Yeah, we got attacked multiple times. New things going on. We actually did get another new colonist tonight, which was awesome. So in general, it was a good stream. However, attendance for RimWorld has declined a ton. We do not have 200 viewers anymore on YouTube. We get like 50 or 60 on Kick. And tonight, support was not amazing. It was all right. We still...
Phil. Oh, God, I love the revisionist history. You never got 200 people watching this shit-ass playthrough. The very first stream you played it, I think you may have gotten like 250 people because they wanted to see you struggle. After that, you barely cracked $1.25. And that's where you were yesterday. You were at about $1.25 throughout the whole playthrough. So don't sit here and act like this was a popular playthrough. You're trying to justify playing this shit because, again, you got 2 or 3 dents that every stream they come out and support you. Just like last night, one dent came in. The guy that's been tipping you during every remote stream, giving you 50 or $100, and he came in and gave you $50. If it wasn't for that dent supporting, you would have crapped out at $50 for this playthrough, where it should be. But again, this is a really, this is an easy, chill game, as you like to say, and it gives you time to just relax, and you don't actually have to play well or actually be skillful. So, that's up your wheelhouse. You just sit there, you let your dents do the work for you, and you collect money. Just like Pokemon and pretty much every other playthrough you're doing now. Crimson Desert even Crimson Desert's the same thing. He sits there and he just waits for his chat to hold his hand. So he's upset because he didn't hit the goal on this stream. I think this was the second stream where he didn't hit the goal. And of course, this is unsettling because of course he's wage quit everything else. He wage quit Street Fighter last week. What does he have going? He has what, four games he's playing. Pokemon, which I believe is almost done. Crimson Desert, which barely is holding on by a thread. RimWorld, which gets 100 people. And Rewind Simulator, which hasn't hit the goal in like 2 or 3 streams. So he's struggling over here. But, and this always happens too, right after a marathon, he struggles for about a 2-week course after that. He struggles to hit the goal because it seems like the dents come out, drop their wad, and they're broke for the rest of the week. For the month. That's what happens when you give up your whole disability check to celebrate a 44-year-old geezer on the internet by giving him all your money. So, yeah, it happens, Phil. I mean, I would love to see the numbers this week. I know Jay Gannon on Twitter actually compiles the numbers every week. It should be pretty fucking brutal for you this week. I mean, you've missed, 3 or 4 goals already this week? You didn't hit your goals about 3 or 4 times? Your kick support's been abysmal. I mean, you were begging last night, hoping that someone would come in with the sub bomb so that your check would look respectable. It's getting bad for DSP. It's getting bad. But everyone knew this, And the thing is that he got a second Asmon Gold bump on his birthday, and literally a week later, it's all gone. Remember those 4,000 people that came over for his birthday stream? All gone. None of them stayed. They all left during the birthday marathon. You had about 400 people that hung around of the 4,000. And how many have hung around a week later? Zero. Because he's a boring-ass content creator.
Still made over $100, but it was not as good as it usually is. So that is a sign as well. So honestly, I'll be honest with you. I did enjoy Crimson Desert besides the boss fight. I did enjoy the RimWorld stream, but it very well could be that now it's mid-April, and I've been playing one game since December and one game over a month. And, I think what's happened is people are wanting new stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Literally every day, people are coming by my stream saying, are you going to check out this game on Steam? Are you going to do this and this? I'm like, how can I? I'm already playing 5 games, and now you want me to play 2 more new ones later in the week. How could I possibly play these other games you're throwing at me out of nowhere? So, we're going to see what happens, all right? I am doing more streams of these games. Like I said, Crimson Desert will be Friday night's late stream, and I am doing RimWorld again on Sunday night. If people show up, engage, and support, I will do my best to keep these in the rotation, no problem. But, let's see what happens. If we are going to see a sharp decline, maybe it is time to move on and to start new projects. I don't know. Let's see what happens with them, okay?
Phil, what new projects? You've wage quit every single game. See, this is what happens, Phil, when you wage quit games like this. When you wage quit all those previous games where you don't give them an opportunity, you don't play, because you love to say that you're a variety streamer and you like to play different things and not every stream has to hit $150. That's nonsense. It's bullshit. If that were the case, Phil, you wouldn't have quit so many games recently. I mean, you've been on a tear for 2026, man. Good God, I've lost count how many games you stopped playing because it failed to meet your support threshold. And you really think you're going to survive doing that? There are not that many games out there, Phil. And again, you trying to be the retro streamer and playing retro games, that shit is played out, Phil, okay? I don't care how many indie nights you want to have. Dents are only going to support so much of indie night, okay? I don't think that's a winning strategy, Phil. Okay, you're gonna have to make more clickbait videos and clickbait titles, Phil, to try to keep your viewership up. Because this ain't cutting it, man. You know what? I'm gonna end it. Jesus, I'm at 20 minutes. Good Lord. Alrighty, folks. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget, I'm doing a stream today at 9:30. Should be a lot of fun. Stop by if you got nothing better to do. Peace out.